Hey, good morning, everybody. How are we doing today? It is Thursday. Slump day or hump day? Yesterday we got the hump day, and we did. Today is future starting off on a little bit of a lighter note than yesterday. You're going to have to put up with me here. Go ahead and refresh. Let me know if I got a knock out there. Thank you, Chicago. Put up with me a little bit. I've been convalescing with this tooth thing that's going on. A little bit of a rough night for CJ, so got some shorter notes this morning. We're going to go a little bit from the cuff. I hope you guys can enjoy that, though. Actually, it's what I like doing. Good morning, Pat. That's what I like doing anyway. I like taking the feedback from you guys, the questions and the answers. So start loading up the Q&A area right now. Start putting them in there. We're going to get to them a little earlier than normal. Thank you, Bill, for the knock. Good morning. My gosh, I feel like I need to go through here. Everything is good. I think we got the sound thing nailed down with my little microphone here. I feel like I need to go through every once in a while and just thank you guys. I really appreciate you being here with us. We got a good group going here and sharing a lot of ideas, and I don't say that enough. And let's keep this thing going. This is kind of fun. I was thinking about it last night as I was writing down a few notes and some of the trade ideas that have come across either through here or the Night Trader, especially a Night Trader live stream that we do at 11 o'clock. Just kind of makes a market a little more fun, not just things up a little bit. There's Big Cap J yelling at us. All right, so I'm glad everything sounds good. I don't know if you're still in Cleveland or not. Hope you're enjoying your time up there. And I hope that everybody is safe if you're down in that Texas area. Obviously, that hurricane is a little larger than what had been forecasted a week or so ago. This is really one of those situations where I hope everybody kind of listened to the guidance and got away from the area, because it's a pretty serious storm here, hitting a landfall of Category 4. Watch oil here. I have to turn it into something on a trading note. Watch oil just for the next couple of days. You've got a lot of distribution down there, but they prepared, obviously, for that. You've got some refineries, actually a very large number of refineries in the area. We should see a little bump in fuel prices here over the next couple of days. It's going to be more at the gas level, not at the crude oil level. Nothing to worry about in the energy trade there. Nothing that we can really talk. If we can't be there at 11 o'clock, can we hear? You've got it. Sarah, dental day was yesterday. Yesterday was go see your dentist day. That's what I did. It's like take your children to work day. That's where I was at 11. So yes, you can absolutely listen to it or replay it. It'll be up in the Night Trader area, and you can go from there. Let's get to the slides very quickly, because as I said, I kind of want to go, and tomorrow we're going to have a full on Free Flow Friday. You're going to give me for maybe 10 minutes in the morning. I'm going to talk about a few things, a couple of stocks, PAGS, because they're reporting after the call or after the close today. I'll talk about a few stocks, but it's all going to be about you tomorrow. Also, Night Trader people, at 11 o'clock today, we're going through a list of 5. I might even throw a couple bonus trades in, but 5 short interest squeezes. The short interest data has been updated. All the models have been run. I've got a new list of 5 stocks that I think are attractive. Our little side trades that we've got. Dick's Sporting Goods going up 16% yesterday. You got to play that with the trailing stop, by the way. Right now, you should be 3 to 5% trailing stop on that and get ready to pick it up when it pulls back. About another 8 to 10% from where it is right now. It'll fill the gap, and then you get back in it and hold on for the next quarter. So financials and airlines, Alex, I got to say that, and actually the slides here, we'll get to them right now. Semis, take a look at the semis. The semis have been taking a break here for the last week or so. We saw everybody get revved up about NVIDIA coming to the market with their earnings. And if you think about it, it's not sold off. Usually you always see sell-offs. And again, I love that line yesterday from whoever it was on CNBC. 3 things you can't avoid in life: taxes, death, and Best Buy sells off. Best Buy did exactly that yesterday. You saw the stock move lower. We're not going to use that as I've got to get my e-signal open for you. Give me 2 seconds while we do that so that we can go to some live charts. But we're going to talk a little bit about the semis, and that is actually in the slides today, because the semis kind of went to sleep over the last week. Everybody revved up about NVIDIA, and then all of a sudden, it's not pulled back. Best Buy pulled back yesterday, gave you a little bit of a teaser of an opportunity. It's still got another 5% to the downside before you should be picking it up. But NVIDIA normally sells off after earnings, and we did see a buy the rumor move on NVIDIA. In this particular case, I think NVIDIA is going to try to stay flatline because the semiconductors are gaining speed again. But I don't want you looking at NVIDIA. I don't want you looking at Intel, especially not Intel. It's still out there in the quarantine list. But I want you looking at some of the smaller ones we've been talking about. Infi, we're going to look at those charts here in just a little bit. The largest one, ADI, is one of the stocks that I want you to look at as the semiconductors start to see a little bit of a surge that is going to lead higher. We got our E-signal fired up. Look at that. No technical problems as it came up. So let me jump through the slides here very quickly. We got some COVID headlines. I think we're going to start to see more of this as we move through the next couple of weeks. We're really getting into crunch season here. And by that, I mean flu and allergy season. Went and picked up some prescriptions yesterday after my incident with the tooth guy. We're calling it an incident now. So after he pickpocketed my mouth for a tooth, I had to go get the prescriptions. And when I was there, you know, signs are out for flu season and allergy season that's coming up. And that actually tells us, hey, there's really going to be a push. We're going to hear a lot about COVID-19 and the vaccines and therapeutics. It fired up earlier this week. Obviously, last week we saw it as well. This morning, you've got a headline from Abbott. Their 15-minute antigen test was granted emergency authorization by the FDA. Abbott is soaring on this news. They're going to sell the test for $5 each. First of what I think is going to be a headline of news over the next 2 weeks. Just mark your calendars here. I think that you're going to see a increase in the number of COVID-19 headlines over the next 2 weeks. We're going to get done with the RNC tonight, and then it's going to be back to three things. Number one, stimulus. And we saw headlines on that last night. 500 million or 500 billion. God. Billion, trillion, what's the difference? 500 billion that the GOP is looking to push through right now as quickly as possible, since Congress as a whole has not been able to move forward. The other thing is looking at COVID-19, and then the third is China. And we're starting to hear even this morning, China's making more purchases from us, even though they're firing missiles at us while they're doing some of their, not at us or around us, let's say, as they're doing some of their military exercises. That happened yesterday and didn't make much of a headline. My point is headlines are going to pick up now that we've got the DNC and the RNC out of the way. It's going to be back to business. Initial jobless claims weighed in at 1.006 million. That was versus a million expectations. Obviously, they're not going out to 3 decimal points with that. So right on point, still not coming down though. And that's the concern. A lot of people worried about what we're going to see in a few weeks. But the jobs report that you're going to see coming up in under a week, or well, just over a week right now, is going to be the next thing that we're going to be queuing off of. And then treasuries continue higher after already applying pressure to weekly mortgage applications. The only reason I bring that up, the ITB, the XHB, we saw Toll Brothers yesterday. Let's pull up that chart of Toll Brothers. We saw the numbers coming out, and obviously the home builders have been strong, but you're seeing a little bit of a sell. The news on this, if I pull up the XHB, you'll see somewhat of the same thing. It's kind of leveled out. The ITB, which is just the builders. For those of you that don't know, ITB, builders, XHB, builders, but also have companies like some retail in that, Home Depot, Lowe's, et cetera, instead of more of a pure play like ITB is. That is the difference. So when I look at these are ETFs and stocks that you and I talked about a couple months ago playing out until October. Maybe you go out into November. I think that time frame is going to shorten up if we continue to see the 10-year moving higher. It's 6.75 right now. You can see the bump that we've seen in the 10-year over the last couple of weeks, and that's why your mortgage application slowed down over the last 2 weeks too. 36% drop in the number that came out 2 days ago. So something to keep an eye on in terms of the housing, because when this falls, folks, when we see that slowdown, this is going to be the area of the market that you're going to have a lot of shorting opportunities. Overbought on the individual company level. So keep that in mind. Write it on your yellow pad. I've written it on mine. XHB, those companies are going to be the ones that we're going to want to be reviewing here over the next couple of weeks to a month, because they're going to give us those opportunities to, number one, lock in profits. If you look at LGI Homes, which is one that I always bring up, because you know what? I'm proud of the fact that we uncovered this as a great trade back in April, actually. That option that I recommended in fast profits went up over 500%. Blows my mind. Even at this time, after this many trades in my life, it still blows my mind. But LGIH putting in a bit of a double top right now. Remember what I said about double tops, double bottoms yesterday? Very effective technical trends to follow or patterns to follow. If we put in a double top here, I'm a little bit concerned about LGI Homes. Watch for the 20-day to cross back below. I'm already off the slide, so I need to get back. We've also got the first one that I put up there right about, 9:15, in about 15 minutes. You're going to find comments from Fed Chairman Powell from their virtual Jackson Hole meeting. This is going to fill the void. We're looking for a lot of guidance from the Fed right now because of what happened yesterday or last week with the FOMD, which I'm not sure what the FOMD is. I know what the FOMC is. I know the FOMD is a fat finger because the C is below the D, but the FOMC minutes from last week that told us that they were losing a little bit of clarity. So I think the market is going to look for some of that clarity to come back in these comments, and especially when they're talking about interest rates hovering above zero and how long the Fed is going to remain there. Some boring stuff in the headlines basically today, and that's why you've got futures flat. We always look at the chart. Here it is. 3,500 is where I said yesterday I think we're heading up for. And we got a 34.49 open that closed at 34.78, 22 points away on the S&P 500. The NASDAQ doing the same thing. Just little J. I don't know how many ice cream sundaes it is, but it's enough. You're done. We're cutting you off. No more. We're closing your book. Your ice cream sundae book here. Notice the VIX slipped above its 20-day for the first time on a closing basis. And that's all I'm saying, a closing basis. The little tick mark on the right, closing basis, the first close above it since the beginning of July when we were actually trading well above that in the 50-day moving average. This is not a shot across the bow. This is just something to take a look at and say, you know what? Volatility is starting to get a little bit of a rise. Premiums are going up. You can actually see the RSI coming up. We're getting a little more sensitive to being around that 22 area. It's going to start doing a little dance and make its way up. So silver and gold starting to come alive. It tells you that people are going back onto a little bit of a risk-off trade. The IWM has spent the last couple of days doing the same thing. Let me pull up the IWM since I don't have that chart there. This turned into the barometer for you folks. The IWM, the IWC, these are where the trades are going to be found, but you're testing the 20-day already on the IWM. In contrast, look at it against the spider shares where we're trading well above that 20-day moving average. Watch this along with me very closely over the next couple of days. Yes, Las Vegas is getting slammed right now. You're seeing some of the casinos come out with their revenue. You know, if you really can, why don't we all go out and get an office? Somebody told me, and it might have been in this chat, that you can go out and they'll give you an office to work in so that you can go and gamble at night. We should just set up a remote office, maybe a Markets Live office in Las Vegas. And I don't know if I could actually go down to the casinos. I've been pretty safe with my face mask. But anyhow, back to the IWM. Watch this along with me because a break below the 20-day moving average will be the first time we've seen that since we got that little correction back in July that also took the VIX up above the 20 and the 50 days. So things are kind of lining up right now for that healthy pullback that I've been looking for. So Abbott Labs surges on the testing approval. Look at Abbott, how it's been trading between 100, 102, nothing there. It's almost a zero volatility stock. The stock is up more than 6% pre-market trading. I think this one is going to give it another ramp up here. You watch the stock go from a 108 up to maybe a 120 level on it. This is another one of those stocks that right now in the area, you can look at it from a perspective of a COVID-19 let's call it running with the gang here. AstraZeneca being the other one and Moderna being the third. Moderna and AstraZeneca, two companies I've been telling you want to hold as we make our way towards the year end. AstraZeneca, we have a position in the night trader portfolio. I always like to hit that. Look at Moderna coming up with the news yesterday. obviously, of the vaccine trials that are, and we've got some people in Cincinnati that are participating in that right at the 20 and the 50 day, just in time to catch that 20 day. This could quickly turn into a strike point trade. The way I'm watching this play out, all I need is that 20 day to start making a little clearance. Watch for a run here because people are, and we've seen volume taper off to nothing. We finally get some volume coming in. This break of the 20 and the 50 day is going to give you a shot at $90. At 90 bucks is where you put the next trailing stop in on that particular trade. Moderna turning back into a tradable situation. Notice how you've gone quiet here. 50 day held us up there. All we got to do is hold on to this 50 day. You're going to get the traders back in. AstraZeneca, AZN, the other trade has been very quiet, trying to kind of sneak its way up above the 20 day moving average and make some moves. This is going to be a headline move the next time this happens. And yes, PFE. When we look at a few others of these companies, Pfizer is just kind of starting to drop off in the race, if you will. Notice the double top that you've got at $39 right now. I looked at the open interest on Pfizer because it popped up as one of my zero volatility stocks a couple days ago, and you've got a ton of calls at the 40 strike that go all the way out to January right now. That is going to impede its direction to move higher. So if you look at this particular stock, Pfizer right now, I'd say you have to put it number 5 or 6 when you start to look at that race in the biotechs and the healthcare, the pharmaceuticals. Merck is another one that everybody's bringing up right now as well. Slipped itself back into a nice trade, the $20 days above the 200-day moving average. I've got a trading target of $90 on Merck before year end. Not a lot to make off of a leap, if you will, if you're playing out to January. Love the fact that you've got the 50-day coming higher now. The 50-day went bullish back in July, at the end of July. And you've got the volume that's stuck up. Merck is always going to be part of that trade. Mark, you got to watch. Let me tell you something about something I just saw. And this is, no, you know what? I'm not going to comment on the dividend trade. Let's not trade dividends, guys, is what I was going to say. Trading dividends gets you into stocks like this that will, at some point just not, I don't want to say trade you a dividend, but ExxonMobil you're going to find, and I'm not skipping over to the energy just for a discussion, but it was something that came up in a discussion with me and actually a client, an old client of mine yesterday, trading dividends. And this is the same client I think I've brought up before, how he'd bring me all kinds of dividend yielding stocks. And sure, when the 10 years trading down below 1%, you can't get anything for your money sitting in the bank or money market. You start to look for dividends. But when you start to get dividends that are over 6 and 7%, ExxonMobil being a great example at 9% right now, you're no longer trading the stock, you're trading the dividend. And if you're trading the dividend because it's going up, that means the stock is going down unless they're bringing in a ton more in cash flow, which is not the case with an ExxonMobil. So my only guidance to you on dividend investing is make sure that you're buying the company and the dividend is the kicker, not the other way around. Because if the dividend is what you're investing in, thinking it's going to go up and it's strong, you're going to see a stock that is going to go like this. There are tons of them out there that have taken, money from my pocket over the time. Exactly, Peter. This is exactly what I'm saying. If you're focused on the dividend, you know what? If you want dividends, go out and buy preferred stocks. And this is not me giving a recommendation, but go out and check out the preferred market. The preferred market is strong right now. Lots of offerings. Actually, I had a note here that I was going to bring up, and maybe I'll be able to find it. It's amongst all of my notes, but we just had a preferred offering from somebody that has been on my list here for the last couple of weeks that I was going to show you up. I may have to bring it up at the 11 o'clock, but I just saw a big preferred offering come out this morning on one of the stocks that has been very active for us. It might have been C Limited, actually, SE. And that is an indication, people are out there using their high stock price to grab some money right now. You don't have a dividend yield on this, but obviously you can get some preferred stock that you can, especially some convertible for preferreds in some of these companies that will give you a good dividend, and you can convert it over to a common share at some point if you choose. Just again, watch that par value of 25 on most of those. I once got burned on par value 25 on Ford with a dividend yield or on a preferred that paid 6, 8, 0.8%. And it went down to $23 or $22 after it got out there. Let's get back to the slides. Abbott, a buy right now. Dollar Tree comes out, beats by 17 cents, reports in revenues in line. The stock is coming down a little bit afterwards. Watch for some selling down to the 97.5, and that's where you buy this there. Dollar Tree and Family Dollar telling us that they're not having as many people coming into stores, but people are spending more, which made absolute sense to me because people are doing the same thing at Kroger. You don't go every day to the Kroger, and they're doing the same thing at the Target. Dollar Tree among those in the discounters that I like. Ollie's obviously the other. We're going to see numbers from them today. Box beats by 13 cents. Box, big expectations. Jay pointed out yesterday, big expectations to the company. They absolutely delivered. The stock saw some huge volume yesterday ahead of the earnings announcement, shot up above that 50-day moving average. I love a 22 target on Box, and then it's going to get sold back down to the 22 level or the 20 level, where you step back in with a limit order. You know the drill here on my sawtooths, guy. I'm just going to give it from now on my sawtooth strategy here. We're just going to start calling that. It's old school, but it's been working like a charm in this market on almost every company we've been watching. Watch this, because Box has been one of those companies that everybody loves to sell after earnings, and I don't think this is the case right now. You can't do it. Cloud computing obviously becoming much, much more. You've got 3 IPOs that are coming out in the cloud area over the next couple of weeks. Cloud computing is just firing on all cylinders for obvious reasons. Watch for Box to continue this run, and it's going to be fast, aggressive, and to the 22 level. Then you're limiting it out, or you're trailing it with a 22 at the 22 price and getting back in with a limit at the $20 level. Nice round numbers, not overbought right now. Room to move higher. I'm not catching what Powell's saying, so if you catch it, let me know. NetApp. Talked about it yesterday, and I said it's going to 38. NetApp's going to 45. They're moving on up today. The 45.60 targeted. You know what? And this is where I have to give you, things happen. Nobody ever says that in, well, they do in my business. Things happen. Life happens. Trades happen. Companies beat earnings when they're looking like they're slipping into a bearish trend. My point here is going to be, you're going to see a 48 print on NetApp. That trend is still going to take over. You're going to see some sellers come in on this stock. The stock was actually heavily shorted in the last round of data that came out. Got to get these off. They make me look too old. You saw a lot of short interest being added to the name. This is still going to be right there in the shorts crosshairs. Watch the activity today. You should have a target of around 48. If we close down below for some reason the 45 level, that's going to be a warning sign that you're going to get a quick ride down to 40 pretty fast on NetApp. The number was great. They came out. They did give guidance on their next quarter that is below consensus. So that's the one thing that everybody's going to pick on. The stock trading much higher in the pre-market, though. This is one. If you want to watch a number on NetApp that's going to give you a trigger for a trade to the downside. Shorting, to clarify from a question yesterday, I'm buying a put to open. I do not short stocks. I saw somebody that replied with a sell to open in terms of the stock. Watch yourself, please. If you're doing that, you're dealing with margin. I've gotten one margin call in my life, and that was the last time I traded stocks as actual short positions. I started to use puts because I limit my downside, and in most cases, I get the leverage that far beyond what I'm going to get with actually shorting a stock. There's your little educational tip for the day. We're going to hit big C here because that thing took off again yesterday, and this is one. It's a little early in the if you will, the cycle for me to start giving you charts on it, but I like the way this company's looking in. I did look into some of the fundamentals, a little bit of the background on the company. NetApp, watch for the 45 close today. Hope I'm giving you some trades. We'll get to your stuff. Yes, it does happen here, but you know what? You also change. To go back to that whole idea of stuff happening. We can say sheets happen. You know, my bed sheets, they rip or something like that. Whatever, however we're going to put it cutely so we can stay PG-13 here. When we look at what happened with the XPO logistics trade 3 weeks ago, and I went immediately to the data and said, This is what should happen after it went off track, after the trade went rogue on me. A trade can go rogue or it can go absolutely bad. And in the case of XPO, it went rogue, went down 14%, come back to the data. Now the stock the stock is almost at a break even, and our option actually is almost at a break even as well. We were down 80% on it. Same thing with Camping World Holdings. It went rogue, 18.8%. Go to the data, pull the test. The test could have told me, get the hell out of the trade, but instead it told me you should expect the stock to go up somewhere around 20 to 40% over the next month. Get a new position in. We did that, bought some more time, make up, adapt, and that's how you win with the market and trading and investing for that matter, guys. Dollar cost averaging in when stuff happens. So, which I've just done with a couple of positions myself, including gold and silver positions. I always like to tell you, from a personal level, you know, what I'm doing, and I've dollar cost averaged in on this pullback in gold. So semiconductors, we're starting to see that consolidation of the XSD turn into a move higher. That's in the wake of NVIDIA's earnings. There was no sell the move on down the name or the sector. Consolidation is healthier sometimes in a pullback because it tells you that people are looking for the short squeeze is the move to 46.50 right now. And I think that's what I'm trying to give you guys from the 46.50. I love the B&L there brought up those two questions. With NetApp trading at 46.50 right now, the shorts went through the roof, up 20% in the last reporting. Today is probably short cover, which means it'll come back to its trend. That's why I'm watching that 45 level. People get the hell out of the way, and then all of a sudden it's going to fall back into its trend, especially when they don't give us a great outlook on where they're going. So anyhow, let's start looking at the small semis to make the move, because the large semis are going to stay where they are. So IIVI, and once again, I have not updated a chart for you. I apologize, guys. Let's take a look at IIVI. This is one of my recommendations from a few weeks ago ahead of earnings. The company has slumped down to $42 and found some support here. Right now, I'm targeting a move back up to $50. You'll notice the 20 and the 50-day moving average have rolled over. That's going to give us some pressure as we move up. The trade initially was calling for a 56 print on the stock. 50 is going to be good to get us there, and then it's a trailing stop at that point. I have just, and this is me giving you your full disclosure that I always like to give, I own a position in IIVI right now, and I've dollar cost averaged into it at $42, bringing my price down to about a 44 print on the stop at 12 and move off of that. Another one that we want to look at right now in terms of the smaller companies, InFi. IPHI pulled back, consolidated at 115. Break above that 120 levels to get this thing shimmying back up to 135 very quickly. InFi, even though it's a smaller company in the semiconductor sector, it has the trader's eyes lately. That's why you can see these volume moves on breaks below and above, and even some of these test of the 50-day moving average here, nice volume coming in and lasting until we find it falling asleep again. So InFi, right now, a break above 120 is a trigger to take it to 135 quickly. And then our last, ADI. ADI, among the bigger ones that I'm going to talk about out of those three today, consolidation above the 20 and the 50-day. If you've been listening to me for the last couple of days, you know I'm going to talk about strike point. This is on my strike point list today, and it's because the 20 and the 50-day are confirming each other, and you've got an RSI that is allowing for movement to the upside, along with volume that is starting to pick up. Few other things in terms of the tangent of that 50-day leveling out over the last couple of days. Tangents, if we just drew lines through this and started to see them increasing, and that's what's happened. The 20-day is causing an influence on that. The 200-day support that we saw last month was very nice as well. ADI, a target of 130 on the stock here. ADI, a target of 130 in the semis, and it'll outperform over the next few weeks when you compare it to the XSD. So I'm going to turn it over to you here. We've got about 10, 15 minutes, 12 minutes or so here. I'm going to remind you, short squeeze trades are coming this morning at 11 o'clock with my night trader people. Make sure that you tune in. We're going to go through 5 short squeeze trades that I ran through the models, looked at the charts, and these are going to be some of these side trades. We might actually add one to the night trader portfolio because there's some very good trades in there. At the same time, we're going to go over a few of the other positions, those strike point positions that I'm looking for. Is talking gold just reversed to the upside? Let's hit the silver and gold trade. And I was thinking of silver and gold this morning simply because not only Cornelius, but there was a great song back in the 80s. And if somebody can name that was about silver and gold from probably one of the best rock bands ever out there. Anyhow, you had gold break off that 1,800, 180 on the GLD shares there. You got the 20-day up above that 185. This is just a healthy correction. When I talk about a correction in the S&P 500, a healthy correction, we got overbought, way overbought. Everybody, Robinhood was in on the trade. Lots of volume coming down, taking profits. 20-day doesn't hold. Don't make it to the 50-day, but we hold that same level that we tested with the 180 again. 20-day is still in question here in terms of a confirmation, but the 50-day is giving us that bullish trend. You're going to see gold take out its highs before, I'm going to put it out there and say before the end of September. We'll be trading at new highs with gold. That brings me, of course, to trades for the night trader people. And let's not talk about the option that we're in, but EGO making a huge move yesterday, breaking above the 50-day where that support lies. Next move is up to 1150. This is going to be a stock that's going to take that out and go back up towards $13 here. EGO, one of the more leveraged moves on gold. Silver, we switch over to the SLB. We saw the same pattern that we saw in gold. Not as bad to take it almost down to the 50-day. It held the 20-day. Silver is more of a traders, not bad company. Nope. Two characters in the name. Which should give it completely away. That in the 80s and the best. Yeah, probably one of the best bands around. Throw Led Zeppelin off to the side here. And I think you have to say this is probably one of the more popular and more political. There's your other hint. We should have one of these every day, one of these trivia, movie or trivia. Nope, 80s. 3 guys, 2 characters. I've given you all the quote, all of the hints that you can get. You're out of hints. You got to call Regis Philbin on the lifeline for something after that, and he would know who this is, by the way. So you've got silver that broke off the 20-day. Silver much more tradable right now. We're going to see it take out that high that was just under that 2750 level within the next 2 weeks. This is going to be much faster, which means you've got Wheaton, WPM, which is a nice pure play on silver. Not pure, but very pure. You know, as pure as it gets with a miner. They are a buyer, active buyer of silver. They're just not mining it, so they're making a market in silver. Breaking above the 20-day, 5750 is in the very quickly in the scope for Wheaton, and Wheaton should continue to go higher. Rush is not 2 characters. Come on, Ken. Rush is 4 characters, not 2. My God, and I just gave you another hint without even knowing it. I'm just going to give it up. You're right. R.I.P. Regis. I forgot about that. Oh, my gosh. Okay, let's look at a few more of your we have hit everything in terms of where I can go. Man, the Regis, that just ruined my morning. I'm sorry. Kohl Stores, KSS. Let's take a look at some of the Hall & Oates. We're done, Tracy. It was you too. Bono, The Edge, Larry Mullen Jr., Silver and Gold. There you go, Porter. Was on probably the best album ever. You've got Kohl's trying to break up above the 50 and the 20-day. Neil Young, one of the best slaves to his art. Just an awesome artist. 20 and 50-day. Kohl's is dead money right now because back to school is dead as well. We're seeing more and more schools that are shifting their focus away from the classrooms after these little tests, I think they're calling them, at least here in Ohio is one that you stay away from. You have to look at some of those other teen retailers as well, American Eagle Outfitters, which started to pop because they said, oh, everybody's going to go back to school. I think you're going to see this one go quiet. You've got to find a situation now that is going to be those more specific, like we did with Dick's Sporting Goods, DKS. And the trade on Dick's, by the way, right now is to have that trailing stop loss in. I got stopped out yesterday to give you that type of information. This is where I say I trade the way I talk. I got stopped out yesterday after the stock rallied up and then pulled back. Now have an entry at $48, looking for an entry at $48 on Dick's. So it is, I think we'll see a little bit of selling into that strength here, but the retailers are going to have to start looking at some of the opportunities that are going to be COVID related. Best Buy with one at a 10, right around a 107, 108 purchase is going to get you back in that stock. I'd press it for the 107 here because I think we see some selling pressure that's going to come to bear. A lot of questions about how they got the numbers there, and it's obviously the online things. I'll have more on the retailers. We'll do retailers the week after next, because next week we're doing alternative energy. Bed Bath & Beyond was another that everybody kind of wants to poke at and say, can we pick it up because they're doing so much in the restructuring? I don't expect to see this company. This is the rush that we got from that earnings news that came out. Here's the earnings. They announced the restructuring. The stock went through the roof. They've squeezed the sponge right now, pun intended, and they're going to have to find more to do to get the stock to go up from a fundamental perspective. Watch Bed Bath & Beyond to just go sideways, kind of do a zombie thing as well. Again, you want to keep looking at some of those specialty retailers. We have not talked about I'm trying to think of some of the online, that outside of Mercado Libre, and somebody asked about Ruger earlier, coming up to its 50-day yesterday. This is going to be a poke right back up to $92. Remember, a politicized, very good question, Zach. I do. I absolutely do. Wow. Here's a teaching moment. Let me come off of Sturm Ruger for just a second and talk to you about this, because this is a great question. So if I have, and I'm just going to put numbers out just for the sake of putting them out. If I have $10,000 or if I have $20,000, if I have $1,000 in Dick's Sporting Goods and I get stopped out at $52, I go back in with that $1,000 at 48. Otherwise, I'm not compounding the work that I'm doing, picking up that lower limit price. My position, when I use this sawtooth rally strategy or this sawtooth strategy to get out with the stop loss or the trailing stop and then get back in with the limit, I start to take some of that away if I just change the number of if I start to change variables, and you can just go with the same number of shares. That's the easiest way to do it. You're going to put in less, but at the same time, my idea is that I'm going higher. I want to compound that growth. I could take the money out and stick with 100 shares and go from 48 to 52 again and rinse, wash, repeat, or wash, rinse, repeat. But in my case, the way that I'm trading these trends when they're this strong, I'm going to stick with the dollar amount that I took out of that trade. So immediately, I'm going to end up buying more shares when the price comes down instead of just buying the same number of shares. If this were a market that weren't as volatile or giving me the trends that I have right now, I would be going to a per share purchase basis. I would say 100 shares in, 100 shares out, 100 shares in. Great question. Great question. Simply because it gives you the difference between a raging bull market where you've got stocks that are in these trends that are very strong and discernible, and you can pinpoint the prices, which is when I'm going to stick with my dollars. And certainly I've got more money that is now on the table. My risk is higher because if the stock reverses, I've got more money in it. But that's where my dollar cost average comes in. That's when I start going out and adding another 25, 50% to the position, because that trend is going to take over, just as I've done with silver and gold. You go back in, dollar cost average on the, and then breaking again. And we're going to have to, when we talk about this stuff, we have experience for you guys. let's stay away from the videos for a second. Obviously, we've taunted the gods here. We will watch. Let's take a look, because I said I wanted to pull up that chart of BIGC. Again, a little early in the cycle for the stock for me to start giving any type of recommendations. No technicals here. This is one that's a crazy mover, obviously. I did look up, see that it hit the Robinhood list as well. So we've got volume and everything coming in. This is one that you just play on round numbers, folks. You look at it and say, if it comes back down to 100, especially if it comes back down to IPO prices down in the 70s, you're just grabbing it again because it's going to go higher. Another name that comes to my mind when I look at this is Workhorse. You look at how it took off, boom, up, down, up, down. It's starting to tighten up. I don't like the tightening on Workhorse. It's going to take a break above 20 to get this trend to kick in back to the upside. You can see that from the 20-day, but that is how I'd be looking right now at Big C. It's $100. You look at a limit and say $100 is where I'd want to get in if I got stopped out, simply because that's where your top was and you had a gap from there. After that, it's tripped down to $75 because people are just going to take their profits out of this one real quickly. SPWH, absolutely. Smith & Wesson, Sportsman's Warehouse. I'm sorry, that was my phone coming out of my pocket. Sportsman's Warehouse, as I mentioned, not as active yesterday on the online, but it is a cousin of Dick's, almost the way Ballard Power is a cousin of Plug Power, and I like both. Watch Ballard to move above that 50-day. I like this as a slower move to go along with your Plug Power. We'll talk about those obviously next week. Plug Power getting ready to hit that 14. Remember, the trailing stop goes in at 14. You're rebuying it at 12 again. All right, with that, guys. Oh, Google, I can show that chart very quickly. Google, and obviously lots going on with Fastly, TikTok, et cetera, et cetera. We can talk more about that tomorrow. CEO of TikTok late last night announcing that he's resigning. Obviously, this has to do with the company. He's not going to be able to take the company where he wanted to go. Right now, Google taking out that 1650 level. I like Google to make its way up to maybe even the 1700. Google is coming back on fire again. Watch Mercado Libre, watch your Amazon, and watch after they open today, PAGS. Love this stock to make a little bit of a surprise. You see the strength in Square, you see the strength in PayPal. I think we get the same type of move out of PAGS. XPO, love the trade. This is an investment as well, guys. You can buy this stock and hold this for the next 6 months, and it's going to do well for you. Look at that. We're break even from where we were after I did that study on this day and said, let's hold it. It's going to make its way back up to $90. I'm very proud of the fact that the numbers backed me up. All right, guys, that is it. That is it. I'm going to try to go back to the screen just for a second. I'll see my night trader people at 11 o'clock. Of course, we're going to go through those 5 shorts. I'm going to keep it short as well. My mouth is killing me. Sorry, guys. I don't mean to give you the short end of the stick, but let's get in there with some laser focus this morning at 11. I promise to log on maybe even a couple minutes early for you. Let's do it at 10:55. If anybody's, my night trader people, if you're here, I'll be there at 10:55 and I'll start talking just about, we can kick some stuff around before we get into the shorts, just kind of, you know, BS a little bit. Watch NASDAQ obviously today. Those comments I'll have to go through, and I'll have some comments about the comments tomorrow. We'll close out Friday with obviously Free Flow Friday. I'm going to give you guys 25 minutes. Get your questions and everything ready tomorrow. If there are questions in the queue, I'm going to bring those over to tomorrow as well. So don't worry about those. I'll save them. Have a great day trading. I think we look at a flat to a little bit awkward, maybe upward side today. Keep your eye on that NASDAQ, though. It's still doing 100%, well, 80% of the work right now. And that's where you're going to take your Q and the IWM. A break below the 20-day means we start taking some of the long exposure off. When you look at the question that was asked a couple weeks ago about how you manage a portfolio, net delta right now on the night trader portfolio, very high. We've got a lot of calls in the money. If we break on the 20-day on the IWM, I'm going to start to bring that down and add some put exposure in the short, in the small cap area. That's how you manage a portfolio of an options as an investment, not just as a speculative portfolio. We can talk about that sometime, though. Have a great day, guy. We'll see everybody at 11. Appreciate everybody's time again. Love this time together with you every morning. Have a great day. I wish you the best trading success.